Welcome to Sorare Coaching. This is episode 2 where I share my thoughts and my insights on how to win more on Sorare. Today we're looking at Gavin S. He says he's got about £200 to £300 to spend to improve his galleries. He's struggling to hit streaks and he's struggling to win money and wants to improve on his essence returns as well. If you want to be in a future episode, just drop a comment down below telling me about, how much money you've got to spend, if any, to improve your team, which sort of region you'd like to sort of specialize in and get better at, and in season, out of season. Just a little synopsis that helps me sort of assess your gallery and try and improve. So right off the bat here, we are looking at a couple of teams. It's sort of filtered across rare, limited. There's a super rare here. We've got a couple of in-season Schalke cards, but obviously not really sure what's going on there. But obviously that's just week 1. Moving on, 101, always difficult to know. Didn't pick up any rewards there. Week 2, 200 rewards in terms of just essence there. Celtic playing Aberdeen. It looks like he's got a lot of Celtic cards split across sort of different fixtures there. Again, playing in All-Star. So immediately looking at some things we can sort of improve. Just sort of flick through, see if there's any other standout cards. It's a good week for him. 600 essence, one from basically 500 in this All-Star team. Looks, solid enough start, but we're probably looking for more consistency. You got an in-season James Forrest, an in-season Aston Villa card. Seems weird to me that you'd put guaranteed DNPs in there. I've never heard of that Aston Villa player. Moving on, we did buy a La Liga team. Now, a Girona stack mixed with Rafa Martin or Marin. Now, you might be suffering from the pain of 2 DNPs in the same lineup, or they might have not been expected to play because you've played another Girona goalkeeper here, and unfortunately Januzaj in Super Rare, who is out. So, my initial thought is that you've also got a Premier League team. Okay. So I'm starting to see a couple of problems early. I'll just keep flicking through. Only common essence there. 550 essence here. Nothing particularly to write home about. Obviously, this is the internationals, which if you're not got champion cards. Golden Arena, rare. That's a nice pickup. Got Pickford for England. Okay, that I didn't expect to see. Pickford for England again, but 4th this time in the arena. Coming back now, we can see back to the Celtic sort of semi-stacks. He doesn't go full stacks. And yeah, I think, looking through, immediately you're probably playing too many, lineups as well and no sort of clear focus. I hate sort of the capital allocation at times. So, if you're buying in-season cards, they should be playing in-season. And if you're buying super rare cards, they should be playing in super rare. Now, unfortunately, I don't have too much information on Girona, but I do think their best days are past them. If you are competing with basically a sub-team, this isn't going to help you either. I think, my first guide would be like, are you winning in limited? Yes or no? If you're winning in limited, let's move up to rare. If you're winning in rare, let's move up to super rare. But what I'm seeing is you're not actually winning in limited. Now, that's 2 options, right? You either move down to limited and start buying some better quality players, or if you believe you can compete in rare, but you've just sort of spread yourself too thin, then I have no problem with selling those sort of limited cards and going from there into like a rare focus. Taking a look at his most expensive and sort of best cards across limited, we're seeing some last season Celtic cards. So you've got AJ, who's out for a while. Obviously, as Celtic fans, this is nice for me to review. Carter Vickers, always solid. Cal Mack. But they are across your Challenger division. So let me just narrow this down to Challenger to sort of get a better picture. So yeah, Jonathan David, despite playing Serie A or Serie A, he can actually play which will be nice. You're mixing Celtic and Rangers cards, the Cardinal Sin. but also probably just not a good thing to do at the minute the way Rangers are playing. Try picking up some Hearts cards if you don't want to fully stack Celtic. So that is the limited. Let's just check we're not missing anyone on sort of highest average. Obviously it is going to be CCV. Do we have any in-season variants? Yeah, so these are probably just crafts which are not needed. Gianmartino you can probably raise some money for. I'd definitely get him for sale. No real benefit of having him. If you want him, you can buy his classic card. Back to all of the cards, yeah, no real changes. A big Celtic dominance, to be fair, which is fantastic. They do dominate their league typically. We're not on the best patch of form. Mario Lemina, where's he playing at the minute? I don't want to drill into this too much, but you recently purchased him. He's at Galatasaray. Doesn't look to be starting or putting up good scores, but 60% likely to play. Always an awful one because it's a coin flip, basically. Jack Butland's going to play every week. So you do have a decent sort of challenger lineup there. And if we're looking in rare, we have Raskin, I think, is out of the picture at Rangers. And that is it in Challenger. And we'll just move to probably Champion, see how we're looking. That's where you're getting your Butland, your Mbuemos, both old season, Ayo Tanaka in season. Yeah, definitely a little bit too much going on. I don't understand why someone would purchase an Archie Gray. I don't know what price you bought him for, but as much as he's going to be a good player, in-season cards are in-season, one-season utility. You don't want to be buying prospect cards, especially if you are trying to compete on a budget. I would say it was for collection bonus, but he's only at 1%. So if you do think Archie Gray is going to be the next, Luka Modric, no problem owning him, but you need him in classics. So it's not a one-season sort of hit rate. Then you can probably buy 2 or 3 of them if you are that bullish. It is a weird gallery to look at because if we look at Championship, which I think is every card available to him, and we'll go highest price. Yeah, contender cards as well. Not great, especially when you see 12 super rares, and yeah, some of them purchased recently. Adnan Januzaj. So I can only imagine that traded. So you've put in a load of cards to get Januzaj. Can only imagine you thought he was great value or that he'd really pick up, and he's had a bit of an injury and then sort of coming back from that, but still a rotation player. Regardless, it's sort of back to what I said at the start, where it's not a true plan. It's sort of a bit all over the place. You're in the 300 cards, just like our last gallery review, but this time you're going all the way up to super rare, and there's not that success in limited. In terms of the better gallery, it probably is slightly your limited gallery, just because there's a sort of challenger focus, bit of Celtic collection bonus, or just sort of high XP in general. But at the same time, you've got to understand if you are playing challenger, you're going to be running up against better stacks. So first thought, let's just get these super rares in a trade deal to a bot. You're going to lose 20%, but these are going to be so illiquid for you. And the problem is you can't earn anything with them. So all of these cards are going to go down in value as more cards come to the market. You're losing 20% now, but you're still gaining more than you would. These cards are essentially dead wood because in your gallery, do you even have a goalkeeper to play them? I'd assume not. No. So, yeah. Immediately, let's scrap super rare. Then we're looking at the decision between rare and limited. You can play both. I don't typically advise it, but with a £200 to £300 budget, that should be fine to get you going in limited. So obviously, as I say, new money should be filtering into in-season cards. Looks like you've got a bit of a La Liga base across Girona, as we saw earlier. Now, we're sort of in for a penny, in for a pound there. We're going to have to stick with them, even if they haven't got the best fixtures, because you are at 4% in season. Now, like I said, I haven't been tracking Girona this year, but I imagine it's not great. But regardless, we can still, press onwards with them. We don't want to buy brand new cards and flip out of them because they've started the season bad. Maybe they come good. Maybe they are playing good. I doubt it, but yes. So if we're looking at La Liga, I've got no problem with that. In terms of classic smashers, I don't think you've got any. So, okay, you do have Rafa Marin, who he is out injured. Yeah, I assume he's out injured. Only bought him for £12 anyway. Basically, let's get rid of your Premier League contingent because, well, let's see how many in-season cards they've got. Yeah. To me, this just makes no sense. A couple of in-season cards that aren't smashers and 2 classic smashers, in Embuemo and Pickford. People will be picking up Chris Wood. I think this is a perfect time to say, right, all of the Premier League cards go and they can easily raise money. That's getting you to the £400-500 region. With that, we can stick with Girona, but we can also adapt so we're always getting a decent score. We're not too heavily reliant on the collection bonus. That can be done in 2 ways. You can either build into a different team, a Real Betis, someone like that, or you can just look and say, right, I want a star that's going to be there every week. If you're looking at in-season stars, I always like to buy someone that's coming back from injury. I know Bellingham's come back from injury. You've got to assume he's pretty nailed, but now Arda Güler's playing so well at that price tag, yeah, definitely going to be avoiding him. Pedri would be great, be one of the most expensive cards on the game. What about Unai? I imagine he's nailed as they come. He's only £280 and a top scorer. Typically, I don't like my best player to be an outfielder. I don't like it being a goalkeeper. I like my best sort of smasher to be, outside. Now, what about if we go to the other Madrid and look at Julian Alvarez? I think he's just recently had an issue. Didn't play there. But as far as I'm aware, it's not a long-term issue. You're looking at your in-season value cards, £300 on last sale. I imagine they're a lot lower in reality, 242. His sort of averages, very strong. He's got international utility. Yeah, wouldn't be against picking up an in-season Alvarez. But besides that, you need a classic smasher as well. So, problem with Atleti, that could be perfect actually. If you get a classic Oblak, yeah. So obviously Oblak completely nailed. In season, he's actually very reasonably priced. Did not realise that. Yeah. Okay, so in these scenarios, I'm actually happy to buy an Oblak if you can get him in that £200 region in season. Why I say that is that Girona are conceding a lot of goals. Should we just take a look at the table? Girona, yeah, geez. Absolutely dead last. Goals against 11. Wow, in 4 games. So that can be done in 2 ways. You can buy sort of a Unai Simon and see what he's like in classic. He's ticking up in value as well, 108. It's tricky to know what to do. If I'm looking for, basically our strategy should be we're going to focus on La Liga in season. That's where your money's going to come from. Yes, you've not picked the greatest stack, but you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. We can start building another team which complements Girona, and then at the same time, if it keeps going badly, you'll have half a team ready to go, so we can just transition to a better selection of players. Now, I don't know how long this guy's out for, but how are the Williams brothers looking? Because I know he's missed a couple of games, and if you can pick one of him up to return, the problem with people on Sorare is that they want everything now. And in season, I can sort of understand that. But, if you're picking up a Nico Williams classic card for £40, he's your sort of smasher. That would be fantastic for you as well. And I do really like Athletic Club as a budget option. So if I was looking to build into another team, I could be looking at sort of Athletic Club because they are that sort of 1-0, 2-0 team. And as soon as they get the star player back, you start getting someone that's on set pieces, gets attacking output all the time, and you could just have that. So, we've got to get away from the Girona stack, especially in goal, because conceding that many goals and in defence, you're up against it every week. Whoever you sort of prefer to do that, I do like Athletic Club, I do like Atletico Madrid if you're looking to get away from Barca and Madrid. That's a good start there. And when we're looking at contender, I don't think there's too many, there's not too many mistakes here. You're playing your Celtic stack when you can. I just think you're sort of splitting them up too much. Now, this looks like you didn't split them up, which is good, but always be captaining CCV over McGregor. There are times when McGregor will score better, but it's just the better choice. I can't really describe it. Even with Maeda, unless we're going to score 5 or 6 goals, CCV is going to outscore him. This is a perfect example. Kilmarnock, we scored a late winner. CCV's conceded a goal, no clean sheet bonus, got 63. Maeda scored and got the same. So what's more likely? Celtic to keep a clean sheet or Maeda to score every game? It's like they're probably quite similar. So if you get the attacking AA, or just, the all-round game, CCV is going to win every single day. Now, McGregor's one of those that sort of also can put some decisive actions out there, but yeah, he's looking, maybe not past it, but he's looking past his best, and yeah, he's a CDM playing for an attacking team. It's not what you want, so always be captaining CCV. I think you should be playing this team in contender, working your way up. I don't know enough about the rest of your players to say if they're good. Obviously, Matinho, if you want him, get him in Classic because you're playing in Classic. It's very similar to what we saw yesterday, in the last episode, competing on too many fronts, and the only reason to keep expanding is if you're winning. If you're a losing Sorare player, you don't want to put more money into the game, you don't want more teams, and your problem is there's no correlation. This is why you're stuck in All-Star against 30,000 people this week, but obviously we've seen it goes up to 50,000 in particular weeks. So I would start that as your basic point. I'm happy that you're keeping your contender sort of SPL focus. Let's dive into that. Let's keep the limited contender. Let's just keep rolling them out, see if we can get some limited essence. If we get a good craft, then obviously we can use some of the available money to put into that. But outside of that, we've gone for a La Liga stack. So let's trust them. We need to build on it. It's not the right selection of team. That's part of the game. How do we expand on that? Well, we need a defensively solid team. That's why Athletic Club and Atletico Madrid are perfect. But as well with that, you can get one of their stars. So that's why, one of the Williams brothers, particularly Nico, when he's back from injury, he's going to be perfect for you. Now, I don't know when he's back from injury. If it's before Christmas, definitely get him. You're getting him for such a cheap price. He's going to put up guaranteed scores. He'll keep you in the divisions, keep you climbing up. I think that's sort of approach I'd get. You basically want a classic keeper, and 2 in-season smashers. So say Nico Williams 1, then I don't know if I'd drop into the Madrid category, but you're just always going to get good scores of them. How much is a Dean Huijsen? I mean, I imagine because he's under 23, he's absolutely ludicrously expensive in season. Yes, absolutely ludicrously expensive, as expected. There are going to be cheaper options. This guy's playing every week. I know who you can get. Carvajal will put up decent scores. Should be pretty inexpensive in region. Yeah, £73 in season. So with Trent out for a couple of weeks, that's going to be perfect. Sort of build your base. Say, hey, we don't need a Girona defender anymore. We've got Madrid. I can play Carvajal every week. Pretty inexpensive. I've got Nico Williams coming back with enforcements whenever he's fit. My goalkeeper's going to get lots of saves. Let's say you grab Oblak. You know, you're starting to build into it. And what that will do is when you're building your La Liga lineup, you'll very quickly be able to have just 2 players max from each team. So you won't need the full Girona stack, which means we get rid of worse players. And that's going to give you a 2% bonus across all your scores. If you're looking for a serious smasher, maybe Fede Valverde from Madrid. You know, he's going to play every week, but he is in that £325 region. You know, I don't like to sort of recommend players to buy because you need to see the market at the time. If there's no Fede Valverde's available, but Bellingham's available at a cheaper price, you know, I'm just giving you ideas of players you can buy. It's more the strategy. You know, it looks like you've got the sort of collection stuff down. You're just competing on too many fronts. Clear super rare out. Clear the dross out in limited. You know, your contender cards. If you've got any champ, just focus on contender. So you're going to play limited contender. You're going to play La Liga in season. And if you have enough, we can play La Liga or champ classic season. But obviously sell your sort of prized cards that aren't really yielding you anything, like your Pickfords, like your Embuemos. They're in demand cards, but not for your gallery. That's basically what I'm looking at. So let me know if that was helpful to you. Obviously, link in the description to donate if you did find it helpful. Otherwise, comment down below if you want to be in the next episode or if you're finding these helpful. But all the best to you. Cheers.